Hello, everyone. You are welcome to our discussion on viruses. Today, we'll be learning so much about viruses. I'm sure you have many questions on your mind. You've heard about viruses, and you'll be wondering, what are these viruses? How do they operate? What diseases do they even cause in the body? How dangerous are viruses? Okay, and today we'll be answering those questions and be making sure the doubts you have in your mind will be gone about viruses. And today we have someone very special, a professor of viruses, Professor Festus Hadu.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a professor of viruses, and he's been in the world of viruses for more than 4 decades now. So surely you should trust him when he talks about viruses. And he's going to explain, we're going to take some questions, and he's going to explain to us what these viruses are and how they affect us as humans and how it affects the economy and even the global world. Yeah, let's start with the first question. So, Professor Adu, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So let's start with asking the question that everybody would like to ask. What are viruses? And what makes them so unique and different from other microorganisms?
Oh, thank you very much. That's a very good point to start. If I may just define viruses, that explains everything. They are unique group of microorganisms.
Okay.
Unique in that they are microscopically minute.
Minute.
Yes, microscopically minute. Even the ordinary microscope cannot even see them, talk less of our naked eye.
Wow.
Microscopically minute, metabolically inert. They, on their own, they cannot reproduce because they don't have the organelle to do that. They only have one type of nucleic acid. They only have one type of genome, unlike other organisms that have both RNA, DNA. Viruses have only one type of nucleic acid, which can either be RNA or DNA. They are never two together.
Wow.
They are very minute. And another very unique thing, I just told us that they are metabolically minute and obligatory intracellular parasites. They are obligatory intracellular parasites. What do I mean by being obligatory?
Yes,
They
please
must
explain.
enter into a cell
Okay.
before they can reproduce. On their own, they cannot reproduce because they contain only one type of nucleic acid.
Okay.
So that is why we call them intracellular, obligatory. It is obligatory, it is compulsory for them to enter into a cell before they can reproduce. So, and then another thing that so differentiates them so much is that they don't respond to antibiotics like bacteria.
Of course.
Yeah, they don't respond to antibiotics, and they can be of different forms.
Yes.
They can be of different forms, like we saw in the previous picture we just seen. They are of different forms, different shapes, different forms, and different shapes. They cause a lot of diseases.
Wow.
Those are viruses for you.
Viruses.
And they are ubiquitous. They are everywhere.
Yes.
There's nowhere you will not find viruses. Even nowadays, computers have viruses. Yeah.
That's interesting to know. Thank you so much, Professor. You can see just from the introduction that we are dealing with a professor with experience. Okay? And he said something that viruses don't respond to antibiotics because they are not bacterial organisms. So for those of you that have been taking so much antibiotics for viral infections, please, you should stop because viruses don't respond to antibiotics. But let's ask another question.
Yes.
How do they cause disease?
Oh, good.
How do they cause disease?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Viruses are disease-causing agent. They start infection when they enter into our body.
Okay.
And there are different ways they can enter.
Yeah.
They can enter through person to person. They can enter through the air. They can enter through our contaminated food. They can enter through the water you drink. They can enter through the air we breathe. But once they enter, they start the process of infection. And this one, they start by, first of all, attaching to the host cell. They attach to the cell. But before they can attach, they must recognize a receptor and the surface of their host cell.
Okay.
Without recognizing the receptor, infection is not going to take place. But once they recognize the infection, once they recognize the infection,
Yeah, the receptor.
once they recognize the infection and the receptor is there,
okay.
so they can now enter. And once they enter, they now release.
Okay.
They release their genome. They release their genome. In fact, this is where, don't forget I told us that they have only one type of nucleic acid.
Yes.
So they release their genome, and because they don't have any other organelles by which they can reproduce, they now hijack the organelles of their host.
Wow.
So those animals, those hosts cannot produce proteins. They cannot produce their energy because the virus has hijacked all these things. For the picture what they just showed us there, this is how the virus enter. You can see the virus entry into the whole cell right now.
Wow.
We haven't recognized the receptor. So at entry, it releases its genome. So its genome immediately hijack all the reproductive organelle of their host. They take absolute control of their host. They dictate. In fact, this is where we call them hijackers.
Wow.
they dictate to the cell, to the whole cell, everything at their own time.
Yes.
So instead of the whole cell now producing its own protein, producing its own energy, it begins to produce more of the viruses. Yes.
Wow.
And by doing this, after a cycle like this, the cell they infected will die. Will die. And because they can't live on their own, they have to enter. Don't forget I told us that they are obligatory intercellular parasites.
Yes.
Once they kill that cell, they must enter into another cell.
Another cell.
So and as they enter from cell to cell, they are killing those cells.
Wow.
And you know that cells make up the tissues.
Yes.
And tissues make up the
Organs.
That's how they set up the diseases. That's how they set up the diseases.
Okay.
And then from one cell, remember I told us it's intercellular obligatory parasites. They jump from one cell, that's how they infect the cell, kill the organ, and get into the next one and set up. And one funny thing, one bad thing about them is that all our internal organs that carry receptors are susceptible to viral infection. Okay. So that is why they can cause diseases all over the body. Yes. They can cause diseases all over the body. Yes. They can cause that disease all over the body, flowing from our respiratory tract, from our internal organ, from all the things. They can cause the disease all over the body, thereby leading to diseases. Wow. This is exactly what I'm saying. Okay. You see now, you see the different viruses, different viruses affecting the different parts, both external and internal organs, as long as they recognize the receptor on the surface of those cells.
Wow.
That's how they cause diseases.
Oh, wow.
That's how they cause diseases. And they can cause diseases in any part of our body. Respiratory, gastrointestinal, urogenital, they can cause disease everywhere.
Wow.
They spread from cell to cell. That's how they cause diseases.
This is very interesting.
Yes.
That we could have a very tiny organism, hijacking cells. Maybe we should call them terrorists. Because they're hijacking cells, and they don't just hijack, they hijack and kill. Wow, this is viral bandits. We have to deal with them. Okay, there is something we always know about viruses, and is this notion that they have envelopes. So when we say a virus has an envelope, do we say they have to send mail to us, and if we open that mail in an envelope, we get viral infection?
No,
Can you explain what?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very good question. Yeah. Which tells us about the structure, the morphology of viruses. Actually, there are two types of viruses: envelope viruses and the non-envelope viruses. Okay. So what that envelope just signifies is that their outer covering. It's their outer covering. Their outer covering, and it is this outer covering that does the initial attachment. Okay. The fact that, you see, this is a misnomer. See the picture there. This is an HIV virus with all the viruses, before the envelope. Protruding from the envelope, from that outside cover, is the receptors,
Yes.
which I just told us about.
Okay.
So the one good thing about one funny thing,
Yeah.
a misnomer about these viruses, anybody thinking the virus has an envelope, we immediately think that envelope protect them, as the envelope protect our letter which we put inside. It's the opposite here.
Okay.
It is the opposite.
Okay.
Envelope viruses are more susceptible
Okay.
to disinfectant,
Okay.
to soap, to environmental conditions. They are more susceptible.
Yes.
They are more susceptible. One would think that envelope virus should be more resistant. No, it's the opposite.
Okay.
So, and you can now see, for example, let me give us an example. The COVID-19.
Yes.
The COVID-19 is an envelope virus.
Okay.
That's why we are told to wash our hand.
Okay.
Because when we wash our hand, let me quickly also remind us, the envelope is made up of glycoprotein, what we call a carbohydrate and protein. And what actually the soap is doing when we are washing our hands with soap is the soap is doing the saponification. It's cutting the junction between the glycoprotein, between the carbohydrate and the protein moiety.
Okay.
So, and once it is disrupted, that virus cannot attach. That's why we advise. That's why we advise that to wash our hands with soap or sanitize your hand and so on and so forth. So what I just told us now that envelope viruses are more sensitive to detergents, to alcohol, to heat and the environment. And one other good thing I also need to tell us about envelope viruses is that envelope viruses, they cause those diseases that are easily transmissible through when we breathe, when we sneeze, when we person-to-person contact, like what we are seeing right now. Yes. So those are mainly caused by envelope viruses. And why do they cause such form of transmission? Because they cannot remain on the surface for a long time. So they need to quickly enter. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
They need to quickly enter into another cell.
Yes.
So either through sneezing, through sexual intercourse, through breathing, through person to person. So because they cannot remain on a long time on the surface, the heat will kill them. So that is why they quickly had to enter through droplets, which is what we're seeing now. So those are but non-envelope viruses are more resistant.
Okay.
More resistant. Those are the type of viruses we find inside our stomach.
Okay.
For example, the polio virus, because they don't have envelope, they can resist the acid in our stomach. So, and those are the viruses. Non-envelope viruses are those viruses that are transmitted when we eat contaminated food, which goes into our stomach. Because when they go into our stomach, the acid in our stomach cannot affect them. Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much, Professor. I've been learning a lot of new words today. Saponification. What was that? Obligatory. That means to tell you that I'm discussing with a professor. And by the way, Professor Adu has a YouTube channel called World of Viruses. Where he talks about viruses and how they relate to us as humans and how we deal with viruses in our everyday lives. So please subscribe to Professor Adu's channel. I believe you will learn a lot. And don't just subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends. And I believe you will learn a lot. One thing, this is just a question that came to my mind as you were talking, about these viruses that have envelope and the ones that don't have envelope. And based on what kind of, if they have envelope or not, we can talk about preventive measures, right? How we can prevent these viruses based on if they have envelope or not. I think before we round up, we should talk about how do we prevent viruses, or how do we prevent being infected by viruses.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I will keep that question to the end. We'll talk about so that people can know how to prevent viruses, So we are not just learning about viruses. We don't want to be infected by these bandits. We don't want to be attacked and hijacked. All right. So, but let's talk about the role viruses play in community and global health. What would you say is the role of viruses in community and global health?
Yes, actually, viruses, even from the little I've told us,
Yeah.
viruses are very dangerous disease-causing agents.
Yes.
They are although not all viruses may cause virulent disease, may lead to disease.
Okay.
But hey, just imagine if all the viruses in this world is causing diseases, there'll be nobody remaining on the world like this.
Yes,
But there are some, but majority of them cause serious virulent diseases.
Okay.
A very good example, HIV,
Okay.
COVID-19, from which the world is just surviving from.
Yeah.
Childhood diseases like polio, like measles.
Yeah.
So they cause a lot of diseases.
Yeah.
They cause a lot of diseases. And why? Why do they cause a lot of? Because they are very tiny. We cannot see them.
Yes.
We can easily transmit them. Even if nowadays, when traveling from one continent to another does not take such a long time, you can carry them. You can carry them in your coat because we cannot see them. They can travel with you in the plane. They cross borders. They cross borders. They can cause diseases. You can carry them in your water, anything in your food. So they cause a lot of serious diseases. I've just given us some example. And also, let's call the type of disease they cause also depend on their ability to cause disease, which is what we call virulence. It depends on the virulence. It's just like a man. Some fighters, some boxers are more they jam more than the other. So it's just the same thing. Virulent viruses cause very virulent diseases.
Wow.
Ebola, for example.
Yes.
Lassa fever, for example. Yes. And some of them can be mild, and you can carry them. They may not show signs for a very, very long time. Yes. Some of them will cause disease in your body, and yet when you recover, they are hiding in one place in your body.
Wow.
Let me give you this analogy. Very interesting. We are talking that viruses are very minute, metabolically inert, microscopically minute. You can't see them.
Yes.
Can you believe? Let me just give you this analysis.
Yeah.
Hippo and elephant, they kill between 50 to 100 people per year.
Wow.
Elephants.
Yes.
Lion kill between 250 and 500 per year. Mosquitoes, just as I'm talking now, weigh them according to their sizes. Mosquito will kill about 700 to 1 million in a year. Influenza, for example, viruses, they kill, for example, let's say even influenza. Influenza kills between 7 million and above.
Wow.
In a year.
In a year.
Yes.
Wow.
So the tiny these organisms are, the more dangerous.
Wow.
The more dangerous. Smallpox, we cannot even remember. Yes. COVID-19, which we all know of COVID-19. We know how many people die of COVID-19. Yeah. And yet these are something we cannot see with our own eyes. So in fact, in the medical panel, we call them invisible we call them microscopic killers.
Wow.
The microscopic killers. Yes. So they are really very dangerous. And because they can spread from community to community, that is why they are very dangerous. Viruses are very dangerous to communities. Yes. That's why we have to take all the preventive measures, all the medical measures, all the preventive measures, all the epidemiological measures, all the preventive control measures to prevent from spreading, because they can spread. You cannot see them. They can spread. You can carry them in your coat. You can carry them. They can travel with you in your aeroplane. Yes. So that's why they are really very, very dangerous. And they cause. I won't finish without saying this. They cause more. Viruses have caused more pandemic. They have killed more. Viruses have. I've said it before. Yeah. Viruses have killed more human beings than all the world war combined.
Wow.
Yes. That's how dangerous they are.
Powerful. That is a powerful statistic.
Yes, they spread. They disregard borders.
Wow.
That's what we call pandemic.
Pandemic.
When the infection, when the disease spread from one continent to the other. Yeah. Yes, they are as dangerous.
Wow. Pandemic. So these viruses have caused a lot of pandemics.
Yes.
They don't have passports. They are causing pandemics. I love that analogy that Professor gave about the sizes of animals and the number of people these animals have killed. You will notice that as the bigger they have, the less number of people they have killed. And by the time we started going down that ladder, viruses that we cannot see has killed they have killed more people than an elephant or an hippopotamus. And that is just telling you should pay attention to small things in your life, small things in your life. Professor, there is this another thought we have about viruses, that they are not stable. They keep changing.
Oh, good, good.
You know, we know them now. You're saying they are bandits, but now by the time we are trying to attack them, they change.
Yes.
They will try to attack them, they change.
Oh, good.
What can you say about that?
Yes, so what a very, very good question. Yeah. And I know the public should gain something from this. Yeah. Yes. This is what is called mutation.
Mutation.
Yes. Cast your mind back to the envelope I show you.
Yes.
Cast your mind back, all of you now. Cast your mind back to that envelope, to the envelope, which is being projected now. Cast your mind back to the envelopes. Those, they change. Yeah. They change in their structure.
Okay.
They change in their structure. And this is common with the RNA viruses. Common with the RNA virus. You know, I told us there are two types of viruses, apart from non-envelope and non-envelope. Yes. You remember I also told us that they can either carry RNA or DNA. They have never carried the two. So therefore, we name them RNA viruses and DNA viruses. RNA viruses mutate faster, many, many times faster than the DNA viruses. Let me use the common language. Okay. They change faster.
Faster, okay.
For those of us who may not understand what I mean by mutation, they change faster. And what is happening, what is leading to that change? When they are reproducing, when you are infected, say for example, you are infected with an RNA virus. That RNA virus continues to replicate, continues to reproduce in you. For each cycle is replicated, there's a mistake, there's an error. Wow. Yes, that's what is leading to that mutation. There's an error. Each time, each cycle replication, there's an error either in the envelope, in the envelope protein, that projection you are seeing now, or in the internal nucleic acid. Okay. So as they change, it changes, the nucleic acid changes, the amino acid changes. When the changes are very, very minor, we may not notice anything. Okay. We call them variant. Yes. But when the changes continue to occur, as more replication, as more and more of the virus is replicating inside this organ, and more of those accumulated mistakes, so it now lead to what we call strain. Okay. What do we mean by strain? A totally different virus from the original. Wow. That's why the danger is. That's why the danger is, because mutating viruses are very, very difficult to control. Okay. Because a new variant, like we see in influenza, like we see in this COVID-19, a new variant continue to appear. And what is the epidemiological importance of that? Yes. That the vaccine that used to cover the original one does not cover this new one, because it's totally new. It's totally new. That's why we refer to them as novel. Okay. Because the population, and once such a new strain lands in the population, it starts a pandemic. It starts a pandemic, serious outbreak, because the population does not have antibody against the novel one. So, and that is what is leading to vaccine failures. Okay. That's what is leading to vaccine failure. It's not because the general population is not having antibody against it. Yes. When you vaccinate with the vaccine prepare against the original, the patient, it will not be 100% protected. Okay. So that's the difficulty. That's the one major adverse effect of mutating viruses. Wow. They change, and it's because, like I told us, it's as a result of error-prone. RNA viruses are more prone to error. And these errors are not connected. Oh, thank you for showing this one. Let's see that the different mutations we are seeing. Different viruses, different strains from the same original. Wow. Mutating, changing. Because changing amino acid, change the glycoprotein outside, or changing the nucleic acid inside. And this change can be as a result of reassortment, or recombination. Another virus where mutation, this type of change is very, very important, is very common, is influenza. Okay. Because influenza circulates not only among humans, it circulates among birds, horses, pigs, Some of those animals we are very common with.
Yes.
So if you are infected by a human virus
Yeah.
and also infected by a pig virus,
Yeah.
as both are replicating inside you, they form a new
They
one.
form a new one.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
Wow. This is so interesting.
yes.
Wow. I wonder who created these animals. Well, I don't know. Viruses are animals. Everything in the world was created by something, right? And I'm thinking if God created everything, why would God create viruses? These dangerous bandits and that are changing all the time. They are bringing new strain. They look beautiful in the picture. And I see green, yellow, blue, But when it gets into the body, they are no more beautiful. So the questions about it will ask you, how these viruses and pandemics, COVID, HIV, would you say is God sending it to mankind? Why would God create this kind of things?
I think it's just part of the nature. It's part of the creation of God. Yeah. God will explain that better. They evolve. Science will tell you that they evolve from something.
Okay.
They will tell you that it evolved from something. Okay. So, but from what it evolved is beyond this scope. But I know it's part of nature. Okay. It's part of nature. That is why it's found everywhere. Okay. It also has its own advantage. That's what it's doing. God has a reason for creating them.
Yes,
so,
right.
But don't forget, no, we are not preaching here. Yeah. But don't forget, God has given us dominion over. He has given man dominion over everything He has created. Yes. That's why, even though these viruses are there, God has given human beings the knowledge of producing vaccine against them.
True.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful point.
Yes.
Wonderful point. Wonderful point. Yeah. What about the pandemics? Do you think it's a cause on the world or?
I won't say pandemic is a cause because it has been from the origin. It has been from the origin, from the 18th. In fact, the mother of all pandemic, which was the influenza pandemic of 1914, it killed so millions and millions of people. Okay. It killed millions and millions of people. It has been, pandemic has been, but as the world population is increasing, there's a climate change, where deforestation. So all those things that does not favor man. Let me quickly say this. Yes, very good question. Man has encroached into the kingdom of this other nation. Yes. So which has made man to be more susceptible. We have encroached into their domain. We have encroached into their domain. Wow. That is why today we are seeing emerging viruses, which we never saw before. Climate change, all these things, things that are favoring deforestation. In fact, very good question. See what is happening in Latin America. So, where they are felling all the trees, the Amazon trees, where all these mosquito-related viruses are. But because people are going to the bush, to the forest, to go and fell all these trees, so they are driving the mosquitoes. So more and more of these emerging viruses are coming. Those viruses we never had anything about before, they are now coming in.
I understand. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yes. So, in summary, what is going on is we are the one causing the problems for ourselves. So sometimes we say, oh, God did it, but because of our innovations, our inventions, our curiosity, we are encroaching into these other kingdoms.
Yes.
And, we are reaping the benefits, or we are reaping what we are sowing in these other kingdoms. That makes so much sense. Well, I believe you are following us, and you've learned so much about viruses today. Once again, please subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to the World of Viruses channel, and you will learn so much about viruses from Professor Ado. He has taught many students on viruses, so you will be the best person to hear from. Okay, lastly, before we round up, what are some preventive measures you think?
Before we go to that question, in relation to
the
former question, I want to tell us a story about HIV/AIDS.
Okay.
Yes. In 1976, that was my first time I came to America.
Okay.
My fellow countrymen I don't want to mention the country now.
Okay.
My fellow countrymen, welcoming us to, actually we were coming as students to University of Wisconsin.
Okay.
That was where I did my master's in virology.
Okay.
University of Wisconsin, of Madison, Wisconsin.
Yes.
So to welcome us,
Yes.
they took us to go and watch a film. They thought we were going to be excited
Yeah.
seeing that film. That was the time the X-rated films were coming in.
Wow.
They thought, we would like it, that we were going to be excited. We went there. What I saw, Dr. Victor, what I saw, I could not believe my eye.
Wow.
I could not believe the level of immorality. You could say, open this thing. I could not believe it.
Wow.
They thought we were going to be excited, that we were
Yeah.
going to like it. When I came out, I was vomiting.
Oh.
I was vomiting when I came out of the theater, of the cinema, or the film hall.
Wow.
I was vomiting because it was so dirty to me.
Yeah, disgusting.
It was so disgusting to nauseating to me. I then said something. I said, God is going to strike the world with his wrath in 5 years' time. That was 1976. Please mark it. I said God was going to strike the world with his wrath. That was 1976. The first 8 patient was announced around 1980-81.
Wow.
Around
See,
1980-81.
exactly.
I'm not saying God. God is a loving God.
Yeah.
Our God is a loving
No,
God.
no, yeah.
So you can see this. You can see now.
Yes.
You can see. No, when you look at these symptoms
Yes.
of HIV,
Yeah.
it's similar to what God said, what the Bible said in Isaiah, Isaiah 17 and 24.
Okay.
It said, for their hair, I will give them a scarf. So I will give them a scarf. Say for their dressing, I will give them a stink. And when you look at it, say for their hair, I will replace it with a baldness. And when see the picture now.
Wow.
See what this man you can count all the leaves here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's God that did this.
Yeah.
God does not send a wrath to his own people, but he will permit the one who will do it.
Yes.
He will withdraw his defense.
Yeah. Of course.
There was so much immorality.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, you see that this is a disease that is transmitted through immorality.
Immorality.
Yes.
Yes.
So now let's go back to your question.
Yes, that makes so much sense because, like we've established, it's as a result of our actions.
Yes.
These diseases are coming up and emerging because of our actions. You know, it's not God's action. You know, God gave us the earth to dominate the earth,
Yes.
but we are disrupting the earth instead of dominating the earth. And once we start doing that, you see, we start reaping, we start seeing what we are not supposed to see. You know, and like you're very right, especially HIV is commonly known among those who, you know, commonly, majorly known among those who go into sexual,
prostitutes.
Yes. And men having sex. I remember when I was in medical school those days, when you know who are those more susceptible to HIV, you must mention men having sex with men. You know, it was one of those. It was very high.
Yes.
They had so much indices and incidences in those demographic.
Yeah.
All right, last question.
Yes,
Preventive
please.
measures. Preventive measures.
Oh, yes. God told us that God gave us dominion.
Yeah.
We thank science for development, scientific development, medical development in the area of medicine. You remember I told us at the beginning that viruses don't respond to antibiotic.
Yeah.
But science has been, medical science, pharmaceuticals, they have been able to produce what we call antiviral drugs.
Yes.
But before I even go to antiviral drugs, before I go to chemotherapy, treating with drugs, how do we prevent it? Number one, avoid exposure. Avoid being exposed.
Yeah.
I told us at the beginning, there are 2 types of viruses, envelope and non-virus.
Yeah.
Once you feel you are contaminated, once you feel there's a possibility of being infected, you are coming from outside, wash your hand.
Yes.
Wash your hand with soap. The soap will disrupt the receptor, and that animal will not, and that virus will not be able to attach to the cell. Sanitize your hand where it is necessary. If you are infected, don't go to work. You should know you are infected, and there's possibility of you transmitting the virus to your co-workers, like the one we saw, who was transmitted through sneezing and all those things. Stay at home. Stay at home. Your worker will not sack you because you are sick.
Yes.
Then, what again? Prevent being exposed. Don't expose yourself. Don't expose others. Wear mask. Wear mask where you need to wear mask. Haven't said that now. Haven't said that. Yes. What are the active prevention?
Yes.
Number one, vaccine. Vaccine. What are vaccines? Very good. I always teach my students this. What are vaccines? Funny enough, vaccines are the same causative agent.
Okay.
Vaccines are the same viruses, but they have been beaten, they have been manipulated so much in the laboratory that instead of causing disease, they are now stimulating your body to produce antibody against that virus. Those are vaccines. Yeah. Vaccines are actually derived from the causative agent. Yes. That is what happened with COVID. Yes. Let me even say this. That's what happened with COVID. When America was blaming China for not releasing the virus in time so that they could produce the vaccine.
Okay.
You now understand? Because vaccines are derived from the causative agent. Yes. But what the difference is that they have been manipulated. Yes. Either biologically, chemically, genetic engineering, they have been manipulated so much that instead of causing the disease, they are now causing your body to stimulate antibody, which prevents. So vaccination is very, very important. Vaccination is the best preventative measure for controlling viral diseases. Because we have not achieved the level of antibiotic. We have not the level of effectiveness of antibiotic. We have not achieved that same level with antiviral drug. Because not all viruses have the antiviral drug. Not all. Especially those that are mutating. Those that are changing here and there, like chameleon. Yes. So the best way, prevent the physical way, passive way, prevent yourself from being infected. Vaccinate, get yourself vaccinated before that disease. Vaccination is very, very important.
I love that. I love the way you said vaccines are made from same viruses that have been beaten down.
That have been beaten.
You know, the normal viruses are bandits and terrorists. Then they took those terrorists and gave them lecture and changed their mind. And now they are helping to solve the problem.
Yes.
That is vaccine.
That's vaccine.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I love that. And if you don't like vaccines, you are hearing from a professor of virology. Vaccines are very important in preventing viruses. I hope you've enjoyed today's discussion. I hope you've enjoyed my interaction with Professor. If you have any question, make sure you leave it in the comments, okay? Like this video, share this video, and please subscribe to the channel World of Viruses. Thank you so much for being part of our discussion. Have a great day. Bye.